going, everybody? My name is Casey Loader and Electric 51 Speed Shop here in beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah. And today is the best day of your life if you ever ask me how I do this stuff. So we've just started this truck. This was a truck. This is now a frame. It's a 1957 Chevy 3100. For this truck, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be adding Tesla Model S batteries, but we're going to be mounting a Model 3 motor in the rear. Now, the idea behind that is that the Model 3 motor is a more efficient motor than the Model S motor, but the Model S pack holds enough juice for the less efficient motor that goes in the Model S normally. So when you pair the two together, the idea is you should have more range because just a higher capacity pack available to run a higher efficiency motor, right? And it hasn't been done that I know of. It might have somewhere, not really sure. So all of this is in theory, but we're gonna find out with this truck. All right, so we're looking at the back of the truck here. With all of these builds, this is kind of the way I've done it. So this is the way I like to do the notches. I'll put a couple of slits here, a couple of notches, I suppose, for the notches to slide in at the top. Then they get pressed back against the frame rails and get welded fully back here on the insides, obviously across the top, and across the outside edge over there. Once all of that is secure, then we just go through and we just cut out the middle section and everything stays in place, in theory. So this is the center section of the frame. For those who know these trucks, you're gonna recognize that there are no cross members for the transmission. There's no cross member about midway underneath the cab to hold that parking brake. Yeah, so everything gets cleared out in here because we're gonna stick a battery pack in there with 8 of the 16 Tesla modules. And then up front, we're gonna stick the other 8 Tesla modules. So this is it. For those who wanna know how to do this, in my opinion, you need to break it all apart, strip it right down to the frame, and then start customizing this thing to hold batteries, an electric motor in the rear. We're going to replace the front suspension. We're doing actually an 81 Camaro front clip on this. And if you're new to this game, that's an upgrade that a lot of Chevy guys have been doing for a long time. You know, I first heard about it when I was getting into 49 to 54 cars. That's actually my original love. And people were doing those on fleet lines. So I knew about it, but I'd also seen an article a long time ago on one of the forums that explained how to put them into a 55 to 59 truck, which it's very simple on these. So we're going to show you guys how to do all that stuff as well. Yeah, it's an old school method, but it does give you independent front suspension. It's what I did to my truck behind me. It's got power steering on it now. Yeah, anyways, it's a good budget solution to upgrading a truck like this with IFS. Oh! There it goes. Roach coach. All right, over here is our Tesla Model 3 rear motor and suspension cradle. This is what we're going to be mounting in the back of the 57 truck, paired with the Tesla Model S modules. Now you can see here, it's got 4 anchor points. So we're going to have to make attachment points in the back of that notch back here, and the front ones will actually be just on the outside of this notch, and then the rear ones fit kind of right up in here in that corner. Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Say I'm a complex, you're all tough for the heartless. Kill it with a complex, fuck that, I need compliments. Kill it with a complex, you can leave that no condiments. Alpha.
Okay, so as you can see, it was a fairly productive day. We were able to get the Model 3 rear suspension and motor all the way up into the new notch that we cut out this morning. We're just mocking up everything. This isn't really exactly where it's going to be, but it's really close. We need some minor adjustments on the axle, getting it all lined up where the old axle was. We were able to cut some plates that we're going to be using for mounting points, which is awesome. Got those all set up. We've got a game plan on how to get the mounts connected to the front of the frame as well as in the rear. Dude, this thing actually fits really well. So this should give a 6-inch ride height to the bottom of the rockers off the street once everything's set up. We're going to be doing custom bags back here with custom mounts. And so anyway, this thing should sit on the ground. And yeah, so over the next couple of days, we'll get these mounts all welded in and set up. And then, well, there's going to be a few things left over to do back here. But I'm very happy with where we're at so far. It would have been nice to get the mounts all finished off, but that's okay. We kind of ran into material issues. So I'm going to run in the morning. I'll grab some tubing for that. And we should be able to get the mounts all set up tomorrow to where I think the subframe, you know, if we're not bolting it in, we'll be right at the point where we can add some nuts, probably weld in, you know, like a weldable nut or something. Anyways, I'm not 100% on that, but I like where we're at. So very close to getting this thing all set. That's great. And now we'll go over here. Well, what do you know? Look at that. That is our 1981 Camaro subframe. Now again, I was talking about this earlier. I did this on my truck, the 58 just over here. And so I've got a little bit of experience doing that. You know, this is definitely an old school way of getting independent front suspension or IFS on these old trucks, but it's a really fun way to do it. As you can see, let's see, I'm going to point this out here. So in Camaros, they had a subframe, right? They don't have a full chassis like this. So you can see down here, this actually goes underneath the car and it bolts up into the Camaro. So what we're gonna do with this setup, it's really awesome. This flat piece here just gets level, or it sits level on the Camaro. So what you have to do is get it right up underneath this frame, both frame rails. We're just gonna chop it right here, and then this thing slides back. We're gonna have to round this to match the curvature of the subframe fork there. And then once we have that, as far as level goes, it's dictated by the underneath of this frame rail. So our frame itself is nice and level sitting here. We're gonna slide this back. We're gonna mate it right to the bottom of this guy, which tells us that we're good on our. So when we get up here, we just need to line up our axles with our axle line mark from the original axle, and just make sure that it's straight. That's the key, is just making sure that it's not cockeyed right or left. There is another trick, which is we will have to remount the radiator support mounts at the front. That gets a little bit weird because the front of the Camaro front suspension, it's not perfectly lined up with this width. So we'll brace everything in the front on this piece before we cut it off, and then we're gonna have to graft it to the front of the 81 Camaro subframe. So anyway, that's what we're doing up front. Oh, hello again. The nice part about the 81 Camaro front suspension is, well, one, it's a modern suspension. Two, it has a power steering box on it, so you can get the standalone Volvo pump, which I run on my truck, and hook it right up to this box, and you got power steering. You can convert it to manual as well. You can add an electric power assist to it. But if you want to run bags, Ride Tech makes the, what are they, Shockwaves. I think there's another title in there. But it's basically like a coilover bag. So you've got your shock and bag all in one. Again, I use that on my 58 truck, and they've been awesome. You do have to cut the cups out, make sure there's no rubbing. which can be a little bit tricky and is definitely messy. But they work great. I haven't had any problems with mine, and I've been running mine since 2019, so that's like 7 years of use. Now, again, it's not everyday use because it's on an electric truck that I drive in the summer times, but I have put that thing through the ringer on autocross courses and freeways and mountain roads and other places. Anyway, personally, I think these setups are fun. If you're doing a 55 to 59 truck or even a 49 to 54 car, as I talked about earlier, to me, it's a rite of passage. Like, you got to do one of these. It's an old school way to do it, but it's super fun. It'll be fun to show everybody how to put one of these in because, I don't know, I'm sure there's tons of videos on YouTube about it, but it's going to be specific to a 57 truck on this one. And not only that, but it's going to be an electric truck. So I guess it's a little different, although this is exactly the same for a gas truck versus electric. Yeah.